This is The True Light, coming live from the land of Allah on Mount Zion, the city of peace. Rabboni As-Sayyid Isa Al-Hadi Al-Mahdi. He is the only being who is preparing us, the seed of Abraham. Refer to Genesis chapter 15, verse 13. Nubians of the world for the return of the Messiah. Proverbs 16, verse 32. He that refuseth instructions despiseth his own soul, but he that heareth reproof getteth understanding. So, whether you are a Christian, Jew, or Mohammedan, have a seat, relax, and grab a pen and some paper, and open your scriptures and listen to the earth-shocking truths taught by Rabboni As-Sayyid Isa Al-Hadi Al-Mahdi as he brings us back to the true way of life, the religion of Abraham. Al-Quran, chapter 2, verse 130 in part. And as for him who turned away, rejecting the law from the religion of Abraham, he makes a fool of himself. You are now listening to The True Light with As-Sayyid Isa Al-Hadi Al-Mahdi.
Love. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. See where it goes right back? As many as believe on him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. So he did it again. He said, okay, your salvation is going to be in my Son, Jesus. You follow that? I'm going to send him into the world as a means of your salvation, to redeem you. The devil is sending imams and sheikhs and molanas and gurus and you name it, to distract you. Why just one person? Why not a host like before of 24? Because there was only one tree. He learned something about man in his nature. That when he put that one tree there and a whole world of good things, one bad thing, and he said, don't touch the one bad thing, take it a good, we went to the bad thing. So now we're one good thing in a whole world full of bad things. That's why Jesus kept saying, the branch, I'm the branch. He's talking about the tree of life. He can give everlasting life. Where does that go back to? Right back to Genesis. When Allah sealed up the heavens with cherubim. Why though? He said, now man has become like one of us. He knows bad from good. He knows wrong from right. And we've got to put him out of this garden. Otherwise, he's going to cling on to the tree of life and live continuously like this forever. There'll be no means of his salvation. So what he did is he took I know out of your head, because God does know that in the day ye eat thereof your eyes shall be open. He took I know out of your head. You know what I mean by that? You don't know if there's an Allah. You don't know if there's a heaven. You don't know if there's angels. You don't know if this is true. What do you know? You don't know who you are. You don't know what you are. You don't even know who your parents are or your friends. What do you know? You know nothing. So he stripped the right to know and then gave you the right to faith. You follow that? Because when you were in the garden and you knew what you were not to touch, you touched it because you did not have faith in the commandments. So now he removed the right for you to know, so that you have to live on faith. Do you know that there's an Allah? Do you know that there's paradise? Do you know that there's a hell? Do you know that there really was a Prophet Muhammad? Do you know that there really was a Jesus? You can say, I know it because I read it in this book. Do you know that this book was written by Allah? Do you know that it was recorded by the righteous? Do you know that it's not a book of the devil? Do you know that you're not the devil and white people are the angels? What do you know? Do you know that there's an Allah? I keep going back to that one, because that's the foundation. No, you don't. He, in his scriptures, makes a promise to you. Right? And that promise is that by your faith will you be saved. You've got to be faithful. You've got to be loyal. And loyalty and faithfulness in things that you can't put your hands on comes from patience. That's why I kept going back to Allah, because that's his first name. And then As-Sabur is his last. When you get to the last name, that's the doorway to the patience. He calls himself the killer, the loving, the compassionate, the wise, the knowing. Right? But do you know these things? Because if he's al-alim, you can't be. Allah is a knower. He knows what you know not. And he said that to the angels when they asked, are you going to create another blood-shedding, mischief-making planet? Allah says, I know what you know not. And that also applies to you and I. Allah knows what we know not. Does tomorrow ever come? You say no, because when it comes you call it today. I didn't ask you that question. I didn't ask you when tomorrow comes will you call it today. Did I ask you that? I asked you, is there such thing as tomorrow? And until you add your answer, yes, there's a tomorrow. But the moment you put the answer to it, it's no longer existing. Meaning, when I say, is there a tomorrow? Right now, today, yes, there is a tomorrow. But when tomorrow comes and we call it today, then it disappears. You follow that? That you know. Faith is you willing to be a sacrifice for what you believe. That's what the faith is. And the first stage of that is your faith in Allah. You follow? And then you start from there down into, and in all those angels. And amantu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi. It's got to start it. Amantu billahi. I have faith in Allah as He is. That's where it starts. Just concentrate on that first. Don't worry about the scriptures, and worry about the books and the prophets and all the colors and the trimmings. Get back to that rudiment. Amantu billahi. You follow that? And that is your millah. That is your deen Allah. Amantu billahi. That's the real. Everything else is trimmings. Those are guideposts in the sea to make us find our way. But amantu billahi is it. And what happened is, as it got down to wa rasulihi, men started worshiping them. The angels, people started worshiping them. You know what I'm saying? They would have stayed on amantu billahi. And I always tell people, and you're really, really, really looking for the seat of Allah, look in there. Don't be looking around no sky. Don't be thinking about no old man sitting up in no cloud with no white beard now. That's Greek mythology. It ain't real. When you're looking for Allah, you better look inside. You're looking for the devil, you better look inside. When you're looking for the angels, you better look inside. Because none of it would exist if you weren't here. None of it would exist if you weren't here. There'd be no heaven if you weren't here. You understand that? There'd be no angels if you weren't here. There'd be no Allah if you weren't here. Because Allah, angels, come with consciousness. You follow that? When you became conscious that they exist, then and only then did they exist. La ilaha stops. Nothing would exist. Illallah. You see? It's two parts. Until you became conscious that there wasn't Allah, He didn't exist. Meaning, before you knew about Allah, was there an Allah to you? No. Before you knew about angels, was there an angel to you? No. And isn't it all based on you, to you? Did I miss that? It's all based on you, to you. It's not based on you and your wife. It's based on you and your wife. Not you and your wife. You and your husband. You will be judged alone. You will stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Right? Your commitments, your involvements, and mostly and foremost, your intentions will be the means by which you as an individual, the judge, stand close to your wife, but not too close. That's why years ago I said don't love. Because that love can make you love that person, and that person can take you to hell. You understand? Everything is based on you. And without you, it wouldn't exist. Have you realized yet, when I say you, I mean each individual you, not you? That everything in this room and everything in this universe is revolving around you. Look around you. And everything is an equal distance from you. Everything is an equal distance from you. Look around. Just look around. And realize, regardless of how many people are sitting beside you on this side, and how far that building is or that mountain is out there, it is all around me. I am Al-Qubt. You are Al-Qubt. You are the center of the universe. You are the magnetic force that keeps your whole universe in order and in orbit. The stars are as far away from you as is important. Not from me. To me, from me. From you to you. You follow that? The whole universe is moving around you. It is all based on you. So, on that day, you will be judged. Not you all. Not y'all in. Not you two. You will be judged alone, and you will be judged alone. So I say, stand close, but not too close. You know what I'm saying? Love each other. Step forward alone, because you cannot be responsible for a person's intentions. You may force them to act a certain way, but you can't alter their intentions. You follow that? And when you're judged, you're not going to be judged by the way you acted. You're going to be judged by your intentions in those actions. Each individual, not the group. You are Allah insofar as Allah exists in you. And Allah would not exist to you if you didn't exist. Do you remember before you knew Allah existed? Do you remember? Yes, you do. Before you learned about Allah, He didn't exist to you. Right? And if He didn't exist to you, then He didn't exist to you. I'm a little older than you, and I may have become aware of Allah before you. It didn't mean that He didn't exist to me before you found out about Him. It means He didn't exist to you. And if He didn't exist to you, then He didn't exist to you. You follow that? Now, if He was existing in me, then the argument could be, well, being He existed in me, you, meaning me, before I existed, didn't He really exist because He existed in you? No. Not until He existed in you did He exist. to you, because if Allah is existence, anybody that doesn't have Allah inclusive in their existence doesn't exist. So Jesus said, my family are those who believe as I believe. As far as he was concerned, they were non-existent. And that's why they called them Gentiles. Jinns. Y'all were not existent in the real world. Y'all were living in a jinn world. You follow what I'm saying? Go ahead.
So on the day of judgment, when we all will be judged in front of the law.
No.
Everybody will.
We'll never always, right. We'll never always all will be judged. That's a statement that's understood. We will all be judged. You understand that? But we will not all be judged. You're going to be judged.
Even still.
Nobody else is going to be judged but you. No one else but you.
Even if I didn't know, or say, even if I didn't know Allah.
You don't know
I don't know
Allah. You work off faith.
Right. So the faith that I have
It's going to judge you.
is going to judge me, regardless if
How much faith you have in Allah is going to be your judgment.
right. Okay.
And I'm not going to be judged. Because I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be judged, so thus I won't be judged. Yes. Why don't I want to be judged? Because I don't think I can deal with the judgment. So I've washed my mind of judgment for me. As a man think, go ahead. See, I wrote the hell book to put hell in your heart, so it would give you hell. That's why I wrote it, to scare you to death. So now you understand hell. And I said, if you do this, you're going to hell. If you do that, you're going to hell. If you're going to, I said to myself, I'm not going to hell because I'm not going to hell because I ain't doing this. So you're going to hell because you say, who? You read the book, the hell book, say, if I do this, I'm going to go to hell. Right? And then you go out and do it. So you're going to hell. You follow what I'm trying to say? I said to myself, I'm not going to hell. Thus, I won't have to be judged. Now the question should be, do I have the right to make that same claim? Sure, you have the right to make that claim. You can make any claim you want. But then you got to train yourself inside, right? To know that you're not going to hell. And to know that you're not going to be judged. Then, the day that you say, well, I did something that's going to cause me to be judged, you forfeit all of that. I'm not telling you to try to be good. I'm telling you to try to be right. Right is better than good, believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? Be lovable. But don't be so loyal that when my husband said, well, I'm going to smoke reefer. I'm loyal, so I guess I'll smoke reefer. I'm leaving the mosque. I'm in love, so I guess I'll leave the community with him. If all that, that's what I mean by stand close but not too close. Because on that day, if you wish to, of course, you will be judged. Each individual. See, the very thought of love and loyalty to anything other than Allah is shirk. In anything. You follow that? Now. But you are better off loving her than your car. Because the soul in her is the soul of Allah. So in loving the good of her, you're getting nearer to Allah than loving that, which is soulless, or this. You follow that?
No.
Okay. Be nothing unique about it, because if the Torah was in Arabic, it would have to be in as eloquent a language as the Quran, because it's coming from the same source. Admitted in the Quran that the Torah comes from Allah. So if there was a Torah existing in Muhammad's time, Wouldn't it have to be in Arabic Fusha also, being it came from Allah? Which meant that Muhammad's followers, while in migration in Ethiopia, learned the Hebrew. And they said, well, bring us the Torah and read about how we should decide this matter. This is in their own teachings. As time went on, what I'm trying to reach at, they slowly but surely dropped respect for the philosophers. They stopped saying where they got it from. Like many people who are Ansars under us, study all the books that I write. Then they go off and create their own thing. And they forget where they got it from. And every now and then someone looks at them and they say, y'all got nose rings. And you know, the only ones I know who they are is the Ansars. Well, I mean, it's in the scripture. Yeah, well, you wouldn't know that if it didn't come from the Ansars. Well, I never read their books. We just saw it there. Really? Amongst the Sunnis, they got Ansar al-Sunnah. Right? And not Ansar al-Allah. They have an organization over there in Egypt. They call themselves Ansar al-Sunnah. And you say, well, can you please show us somewhere in Mus'haf, in the Quran al-Kareem, where Allah says there's a such thing as Ansar al-Sunnah? We do see Nasrullah, and we see Ansarullah. You think they care? That's the most shocking thing. They don't care. They know what they're doing. Their whole thing is to keep you and I from finding out who we really are and our link to Abraham. And they'll give you any branch of Sunniism and flatter you with anything you want to hear, just as long as you don't take them back to Abraham.
We will continue with the true light after these brief messages. Nubian incense. The prophet Moses, son of Amram, burnt sweet incense as the supreme soul, Allah, had commanded him to do. Refer to Exodus chapter 40, verse 27. In the Torah, burnt offerings were always of sweet scent. Available now, a new scent worn by the Lamb. Now all people of color will have the sweet smell of the Lamb. Get yours while supplies last. Don't get caught empty-handed. At the original tent of Abraham, postbox number 1260, Monticello, New York, 12701. Now let us return with the true light.
We always were Hebrews. Let me make this clear to y'all. We always were Hebrews, and so was Abraham and Muhammad. Simply, if the Quran teaches you that we named him Ahmed, right? In an old scripture. What old scripture has Ahmed in it? We know the Torah does, Sunnis don't. Right? So then the name Ahmed is a Hebrew name by the Sunnis' definition of what the Torah language was. According to the Sunnis, the Torah, this is Hebrew here, the Torah was in Hebrew. Understood? And if Muhammad as Ahmed was found in here before the Quran was revealed in Arabic, then Muhammad is a Hebrew name. Got that? Now, check this. If Muhammad's father's name is thought to be Abdullah, yet prior to Muhammad's coming, there was no Allah, there was only an Allat, then some Sunnis removed the two dots off his father's name to deceive people, because his name was Abdullah, of the Quraysh family and keeper of the gods in the Kaaba. And if Muhammad brought in Tawheed, which is Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, and removed a lot, and if his father died while he was yet a baby, his father wasn't there when Muhammad removed the name Allah and the idols. Again, I repeat, his father's name must have been Abdullah and not Abdullah, a servant of Allah, not a servant of Allah. So some people in the Orthodox Sunni world have maliciously and deceptionally erased the two dots and said to make Muhammad's father look better, your father, his name was Abdullah. But they're masters at deception. Another point that's in the article coming up is how the Sunni Muslim world, I want you to use this information, boast about the first migration of the followers of Muhammad under Jafar, his cousin, to Ethiopia, Habashia, correct? And when they got there, they were pursued by pagan Arabs, Meccans, right? That's understood. Okay? Now, when they got to Ethiopia, they met the Ethiopians. Okay? The Ethiopians spoke Hebrew or Amharic, but not Arabic. So Muhammad's followers had to be speaking Hebrew or Amharic, but not Arabic. You got this? When they got there, the pagan Arabs came behind them to take them back to Mecca, to persecute them. Upon which an argument broke out in the front of the Negus, they called the king of Ethiopia. You with that? And this man who came to oppose them pointed out how the Muslims speak bad about Jesus and his mother. And that was in the Muhammad movie. Upon which they lied to the Ethiopians. That was us, the Falashas, the Nuggets. That was us. That's where Bilal came from. They lied to us there. Because when Jafar followed them there from Mecca and tried to bring them back to Saudi Arabia to persecute them, those migrants who left from Mecca there lied. Wanted to use to impress the Ethiopians. That's a form of lying. Because when they were put under pressure, they didn't say, no, we don't believe Jesus was crucified. We say anybody who says Jesus was crucified is only making a conjecture. The word is don't think so. No, we don't believe that Mary is a god or Jesus is a god or even the Son of God. Anybody who says that is going to hell. No, we don't believe Jesus was on no cross, nor did anybody kill him. We don't believe in a Trinity or a duality. We believe Gabriel came to Mary as a well-made man, a basharan, human, skin, bashara. Look it up in the lexicon, skin. We do believe angels come as humans. Had they told the Ethiopian king that part of the Quran, instead of, and look at the Prophet Muhammad movie, you go back and look at the Prophet Muhammad movie, you see the lie? Instead of saying, we believe that she was illustrious in this world and the hereafter. We believe her son was born out of immaculate conception. We believe Jesus is the soul of Allah, Ruh Allah, the word of Allah, Kalim Allah, and a sign of the end of the world. They picked those verses. They chose those verses out of all the stuff in the Quran that says Jews and Christians are going to hell if they don't follow Muhammad. They didn't tell him that. If y'all don't follow Muhammad, y'all are going to hell. That's not in the Prophet Muhammad movie, and that's not in the history, and that's not in Sirah, the Hadith, or the Sirah, history of Islam. It's not in there. They picked and selected certain verses to tell them, and they put it right in their books. That is deception. And it's not as bad as, like my brother said, what about Abraham? He did that to Abimelech. Abraham was not quoting the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
They were supposed to be quoting from a holy book given to a new prophet in Arabia, Muhammad. And they picked and chose certain verses. Doesn't that sound clear? Doesn't the Quran talk about people who pick and choose certain verses? You know what I mean?